Hello there, and I've just come from watching Star Trek Into Darkness, and I totally enjoyed it. It's a brilliant sequel, and again, just like the first one, after you finish watching it, it's this feel-good factor. It totally has the good stuff from the original movies, from the original TV series. It's brilliant. I'm not going to recap it. I think recap and reviews are so boring. I'm just going to tell you what I thought. I just thought it was excellent. So funny, so exciting, brilliant visual effects. Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, brilliant as Kirk and Spock. Yet again, J.J. Abrams hits the mark. And what I love the most about this movie is how we were misled during the promotional campaign. I mean, we were led to believe that this was going to be a dark movie, that Benedict Cumberbatch, his character, shall I tell you who he is? Shall I reveal it? It's a spoiler, guys. If you don't want to know what his real name is in the film, you better turn off now. Yes, it's the worst kept secret in Hollywood. Benedict Cumberbatch's John Harrison is actually Khan. Yes, he's Khan. He's the guy from the Wrath of Khan movie. Obviously, not the same actor. It's Benedict Cumberbatch, of course. Absolutely brilliant. But we were led to believe that his character was really going to be a lot darker, that he was going to... They kind of insinuate there'll become some kind of psychological warfare between him and Kirk to make things personal. It wasn't like that at all. It was really the same tone as the first movie. Yeah, there were some elements of darkness. I mean, I'm sad that Bruce Greenwood's, another spoiler, leave, you don't want to hear this, Bruce Greenwood's Pike was killed off. Very sad, because I absolutely loved that character. A character that was so important to Kirk and a father figure to Kirk. So I must admit I cried when he died. But I suppose it was time. This is quite interesting with this sequel. Quite interesting with Star Trek Into Darkness. It was kind of continuing on the origin of Kirk and Spock. It was great to actually hear Spock calling Kirk Jim. You can see that their relationship has moved on since the first movie. They're slightly closer. Kirk and Uhura are kind of frustrated with Spock because he's so robotic and he's always talking about, the roles and everything. So all that was wonderful. And really this film has two kind of villains. So that's quite interesting as well. And then there's a moment that you kind of may think that Khan is a good guy, but I never bought it. I knew he was an out-and-out villain, and it was brilliant. And get this, this is full of spoilers, so don't blame me. I'm just going to blow it out. I don't care. I'm too excited. Kirk dies in Star Trek Into Darkness. Kirk dies. If you haven't seen it, Captain James T. Kirk dies in Star Trek Into Darkness. I am not going to tell you what happens, if it's resolved or not, but he will die in this movie. And it's an absolutely brilliant death, and it's really swapping the places of Kirk and Spock from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. So in this version, it will be Kirk who goes in to save the ship, and then he dies. And that at that moment, Spock and Kirk admit to each other that they're friends. And a brilliant moment when Kirk looks at Spock and says, "How do you control your feelings? I'm so scared." And that was brilliant to hear the main character, a hero to so many Star Trek fans, Captain Kirk, saying that he's afraid. That's so important. I think we've gone so way past this men are men and we can't be scared and we can't cry. Absolute BS. We're all scared at times, and it's great for these characters to show it. Go back to Gene Roddenberry, really, who created Star Trek. The man was a visionary genius, and what J.J. Abrams has really done has managed to capture this family environment on the Starship Enterprise. This kind of, how can I put it? They have this kind of relationship where they can rib each other and wind each other up. It's really brilliant, and You can see the atmosphere that we had with Shatner and Nimoy. By the way, talking of Leonard Nimoy, you will see him in Star Trek Into Darkness. I didn't know if we were going to see him, but when we did, I was so happy that we did. I'm really sad that J.J. Abrams hasn't embraced William Shatner coming in as an alternate Kirk. That's a shame, because Captain Kirk, Shatner's Captain Kirk, was such an important part of the original Star Trek, and I don't understand why he can't be involved as well. And I'm not looking for it to be campy or anything, but I don't get it. I mean, it doesn't mess anything up for me. It doesn't ruin the two movies for me, but it would have been nice. How can I rate this movie? Well, I'll look. I'm biased. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. Ever since the first movie, I think Abrams has got it so right. He's got the atmosphere of the original Star Trek, the humour, the emotions, as I've said, the family atmosphere. It's that Lost kind of formula, isn't it? Where you've got this bunch of people who are stuck with each other. Now, they're not trapped on an island or anything, but they have to work with each other. It's not like they can demand that other people come on board and become part of it. They have to work with who they... So they have to, I mean, I absolutely love Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy. Brilliant. I mean, Urban's just got this character down to a T. DeForest Kelly as Dr. McCoy was always wonderful, and Urban's totally captured it. The humour, the friendship with Kirk, everything, and of course the relationship with him and Spock is developing well as well. Really, really brilliant. Obviously, we had the Marcus character come into this one. I forgot her first name already, but she's kind of meant to be the woman who has Kirk's child. I can tell you there was nothing romantic between these two. There was no kissing. They didn't have sex, which I'm relieved about. But she does join the team. At the end of the film, Kirk and his crew, joined by Carol Marcus. I think it's Carol Marcus anyway. Anyway, if I've got it wrong, I'm sure you can correct me down below. But basically, they're on this 5-year journey now to explore planets and everything, which is awesome. It will be so awesome if they can make kind of a TV series, kind of a thumbs up to the original Star Trek series, where they are on this 5-year mission with the same cast and everything until they do the other movie. But I suppose it's just not plausible with movie actors, and JJ's got his fingers in so many pies, but he wouldn't have to be totally involved. Maybe write premieres and finales. I think it would be awesome. You never know. It's possible. You never know with Hollywood these days. They do like to take advantage of any situation to make more money. I think that would be brilliant. The film as a whole wasn't disappointing to me. I am surprised, as I say, the promotional campaign really tried to insinuate that this was going to be such a dark movie, but it wasn't dark at all. Yes, as I said, it had the elements, but it wasn't what I thought it would be, I must admit. I thought we were going to get a Dark Knight here. I'm glad we haven't. I'm glad they were insinuating this massive terrorist and played by Cumberbatch. But actually, it's interesting with Cumberbatch. He wasn't as main of the focus that I thought he would be when I was watching the promotion campaign, the trailers, listening to Abrams speak, listening to Benedict talk about the character himself. Very, very interesting. And let me just give a thumbs up as well to Noel Clarke, who played Mickey Smith in Doctor Who. He was absolutely brilliant for the short-lived, I think 5-10 minutes he was in the movie for. He played a guy that basically John Harrison, aka Benedict Cumberbatch, makes going into this kind of library thing, and he blows it up with himself in it. And then in return, John Harrison obviously saves his daughter's life, who's dying. So it was great to see him. I hope we see him in more Hollywood movies. I still hold hope for him to being involved in the 50th anniversary, but absolutely brilliant. We can look at the certain set pieces, the action, and of course, how can I forget this guy? Simon Pegg as Scotty. Absolutely loved him in the first movie, and he gets even more screen time this time. He is hilariously brilliant. I mean, Simon Pegg, you would expect him to be hilariously brilliant. If he didn't get the comedy down to a T. If that wasn't effective, you kind of think, oh well, there's not much point of it. But he's brilliant all round, and there is a serious moment when Kirk's got bringing these missiles on board the Enterprise, and Scotty's not having it. He's saying, you know, what have we become? Are we a battleship? I thought we were explorers, and refuses to sign for the missiles. And he says, if you know, and then Kirk goes, this is an order. He goes, Jim, you're going to force me to resign. And he goes, no. And then Scotty goes, do you accept my resignation? And Kirk goes, yes. And that's a really sad moment, because you could know the love that these two characters have for each other. And brilliantly, Simon Pegg and Chris Pine play that brilliantly, really emotional. And you even get a resolution to Kirk's frustrations and Uhura's frustrations with Spock. When I think Uhura says to him, you know, I don't understand how you don't feel. And he corrects her. He goes, I do feel. I remember the day my planet was destroyed and my mother died. And when I touched Captain Pike's head, I felt his emotion and his anger and his loneliness. I know exactly how it feels. And that was another brilliant moment. Zachary Quinto, I've loved him from the moment I saw him in 24, in season 3. I loved him as the villain Sylar in Heroes. Absolutely fantastic. As Spock, he has got it dead right. So right. Totally understands what Nimoy originally did with the character, and he's taken it on. Obviously, none of this film would be possible without the leadership of J.J. Abrams, and I still remember the genius of the man on Alias. And from Alias, we've gone to Star Trek. Always going to happen. The man is too clever. He's a great storyteller, and I'm just so delighted that Star Trek is back with us. Second movie. For those people saying that now that J.J. is directing the next Star Wars film, Episode 7, which I'm delighted about, by the way, there'll be no Star Trek film. That's absolute nonsense. We had to wait 4 years before we got Star Trek Into Darkness. I'm quite happy to wait another 4 years for Star Trek 3. So that's not a problem. It's his baby, and it should remain his baby. Too many bandwagon jumping, trying to turn the knife as soon as they hear something good's happening for someone. I'm quite happy for JJ to be directing Star Wars and the Star Trek franchise. And let's not forget, we don't know if JJ's basically got now the Star Wars franchise, or if he's just directing this one movie. This will be very interesting. I wonder if it depends how the movie does. I mean, this is a big moment for JJ. If anything went wrong with this movie, his career would be down the tube. It would be... I don't expect there to be anything wrong with this movie. I mean, JJ's brilliant. They got the right guy writing it. Kathleen Kennedy is running the whole thing. So I'm confident that Star Wars Episode 7 will be awesome. But back to Star Trek. Closing off. Basically, if you love sci-fi, if you love Star Trek, you love J.J. Abrams, you are going to love this movie. It's an absolute emotional thrill ride, and you should definitely watch it. Next time I'll be talking movies, I would have come back from watching Man of Steel, and I can't wait.